Good morning everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spider's in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
A new series brings with it all the fun and excitement that you would expect. There's a positive buzz in the crisp air as drivers from across Canada and the US assemble to take on some of the most famous tracks in all of racing and one of the most thrilling and challenging cars to drive on the iRacing service. Hello everyone and welcome to round one of the Radical Canada Cup Winter Series live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. My name is DJ Clark and with me in the booth is Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Now, Mosport is a circuit that has the rare distinction of not having a single change made to its layout over its entire existence. But for those unfamiliar, let's head over to our GSRC track guide to learn a little bit more.
Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as most fans know it, Mosport. This circuit to the northeast of Toronto is a rarity in the world of racing today. Safety standards and the desire for more overtaking opportunities has caused most tracks to alter their layouts over the years. But Mosport is still exactly the same footprint as it was when it was built in 1961. A mere 11 turns, most of which are high-speed sweepers, are dispersed among 2.5 miles or just shy of 4 kilometers. The only alterations to the turns have been to the runoff areas, but otherwise the radii, camber, and elevation changes are all untouched. Because cars have continued to get faster through the passage of time, it's made this place a fearsome beast to tackle. Clayton Corner is particularly notorious. The blind crest and steep plunge combined with incredibly high speeds to create a punishing combination. Without many heavy braking zones, passing is often difficult. And other than using the slipstream up the Mario Andretti Straight, the only other option is usually Moss Corner. This double apex hairpin is named after Sir Sterling Moss for his suggestion to redesign it after he saw its initial layout. While the plateau-like middle portion and critical exit onto the backstretch certainly give it plenty of character, the heavy compression at the bottom of the hill that causes a frighteningly short braking zone makes this one not for the faint of heart. Formula One, USAC, and IMSA have all taken their turns here, but recently NASCAR has joined the fray by holding a round for the Truck Series. Old school fans can rejoice for the enduring popularity of this bastion of untouched tarmac, but any motorsports enthusiast can't help but smile at the thrill Mosport continues to provide.
Well, that is a look at the overview of this historic racing circuit. But Joey, how are these radicals going to take to this track?
It'll be interesting to see the race tonight, and this racetrack, really known as Mosport to all the fans, is very fast and flowing, and these race cars with the big wings and splitters definitely have good levels of downforce. So through these high sweeping corners like turns 1, 2, and 3, I'm expecting them to be pretty stuck to the ground, but that means aggressive driving, especially headed down into Moss Corner out of these cars. They should be very stuck coming down turn 4, which should lead to some aggressive braking moves into 5 through Moss Corner. And then also, let's remember the drafting effect with the open cockpit and the big wing. I expect to see some good slipstream down the back straightaway today.
Yeah, I expect to see it as well. Maybe a little bit tricky to get a pass done down that back straightaway as you move right into the S's, but it'll be certainly the place to get that draft indeed. Let's go ahead, though, before we get into the qualifying action, which is already underway, and take a look at the race details. It is a 10-round series, and it is in round 1 of 10 right here as we start things off. We've got a 2-race format here for you. We've got a 15-minute sprint race followed by a 30-minute feature race, and so that'll change things up a little bit, especially considering that the top 10 will be inverted for that 30-minute feature. No spare car will be given to any of these drivers, so if you bid it, well, you pretty much bought it. You can't come back out on track, and drive-through penalty will be given at 20 incident points, disqualification at 30. And, well, Joey, you and I were talking about this before the broadcast. I don't think we're going to be coming up to that 20 incident mark because there aren't a lot of small mistakes around here at Mosport.
No, you're right. Not a lot of small mistakes. When you go off, it tends to be a pretty big one. And with the damage models and everything, I wouldn't hold my breath. It tends to hurt the car pretty bad, especially with how fast this racetrack is. And when you go side by side through some of these really fast sweeping corners, it's only one lane depending on who you're racing.
Yeah, exactly. And one driver who is hopefully not going to have to do too much racing and instead is going to have to do a lot of leading around here is Andrew Hartman. He was fastest in the practice before this race, before this qualifying session rather got started, and he is fastest now by the tune of about 0.2 of a second here in qualifying over Scott Bedard. Alex Ellis, Zachary Buchanan, and Steven Ritters round out the rest of your top 5. And I've got to give some pretty good credit here to this field here, Joey. It is pretty tightly packed. Everybody only within about a tenth or so of the driver in front of them as we take a look here at Mark Boyd working his way down through the S's.
I think we're working 22, maybe 23 cars that we're going to see out here today. And you're right, DJ. I'm really impressed with how stacked the field is. And not only that, we've got a pretty big gap in iRating out there as well, which tells me that the competition should be good with lap time.
Yeah, it certainly should be good as well. Here is James Carter trying to improve on a 1:12.93. He currently finds himself in the back half of the field here in 15th. But Carter looks like he's been able to put in some personal best there through the first couple of sectors. Brings it down through White's corner right now. Lets that car run out onto the rumble strips. And let's see if he's going to be able to improve. Yes, he is. Carter's going to jump his way up into P10. A good lap there for the number 70. Here comes Kevin Hill, the Mid-South driver. Is going to get a little bit of an improvement there. That'll jump him up to 5th. It looks like lap times are absolutely tumbling.
It looks like the track is warming up. Not only that, but I think some of these cars are running together, or at least closer together, so we're seeing a little bit of that slipstream come into play, especially when you got this big open cockpit that's really not very aerodynamic. The car is greatly aerodynamic, but that open cockpit, not so much.
No, not so much, and that helps that draft effect, as you talked about a little bit earlier, for these drivers. As Ridgway comes across the line there, much more competitive time for him. That'll bump him up into 15th. And let's talk for a minute about some of those passing opportunities here. We've talked a lot about the draft, but the area where you get the best of the draft down the long Mario Andretti straightaway, it doesn't lead into a heavy braking zone. It's fast sweeping corners through the S's. So we watch Michael Broomhead come through there right now, and that really presents a very, very challenging area to attempt to get an overtake done, even with that draft effect.
Agreed, but the one counterpoint to that is I think that the back straightaway tends to be long enough, at least most of the time, that it provides some great side-by-side braking duels into that very, very small braking area of who's going to play chicken to be the latest one to dive it in there.
Oh, and speaking of playing chicken a little bit, that was Michael Broomhead playing chicken with the boundaries coming down through Clayton, and that's one of those areas that you mentioned earlier, Joey, that is a true one-lane street. You've got to take a single line through there. If you don't, you're going to find yourself off into the grass, and Broomhead pretty lucky that he was able to gather him up back under him. I'm not used to seeing that, if I'm honest.
Not only a one-lane racetrack, but if you push it over your limit or over the car's limit and you step on that grass, it's usually game over pretty quick at the speeds these cars are doing.
Yeah, very much so. Those tire barriers there to the outside, certainly ready and willing to catch you out and by surprise as we ride on board with Mark Boyd right now, currently in 12th place, coming down through Quebec corner. And now this is going to be great. Let's stay on board with him here as he comes down into what I will argue is one of the hardest corners in the entire world, Moss Hairpin. You lose the apex coming up through the middle. It's a double apex right-hander that sort of has diminishing returns on it, but you've got to nail that exit to be able to get a good blast here down the Mario Andretti straight.
You're right. It's one of the most interesting hairpins, and look at how long this straightaway is down this entire back straightaway up through 6th gear. You know, and then just a dab of the brakes to flick it into that fast right-hander you were mentioning before, and yeah, you come around a few more corners, and just like that, you're at the start-finish line to complete another lap here at Mosport.
Yeah, it's not a terribly long lap around here. The course only about 2.5 miles. Lap times clocking in at just over a minute, about 1:11. Boyd, by the way, able to improve there with a time of 1:12.409. That'll see him into 10th place here at this point. No one has been able to improve over Andrew Hardman. Scott Bedard still holding on to P2, and Alex Ellis still in P3 right now. But a very, very close gap between Bedard and Ellis, only about 25 thousandths of a second separating the two of them. Here is Robert Ridgway. He finds himself about 9/10 of a second off of that top time, but crucially here, only about 2/10 of a second off of Kevin Hill in front of him. So there may be a little bit of hope here, and as I look, some green sector time starting to pop up here for Ridgway.
I agree. He's going down the back straightaway right now, just into a couple crucial corners. He is on a fast lap, and we'll see if he can hang it together here through this fast sweeping right, and then really tricky dab of brakes, and then once again a dab of the brakes to get the car turned in on the right-hander, but get on the throttle as soon as you can, and it looks like he actually gained even more time. We'll see what this promotes him up to, as it looks like 7th place for Robert Ridgway out there.
Oh, 15 thousandths of a second off of improving up into 6th there. Kevin Hill going to hold on to that position for the moment. Here is your provisional pole sitter, Andrew Hardman, right now as he works his way through. That's Phil Amaro right in front of him. He'll be able to pick up a nice little helping of that draft. Going to be about 2 thousandths of a second off of his best time on the day. Meanwhile, Alex Ellis in second has been able to improve a little bit. He now finds himself about a 10.5 off of Hardman, but still has plenty of room to try to make up. That's going to be Hardman's teammate there, I believe. Broomhead working together, maybe a little bit of coordinated driving. As we check back in on a non-Canadian driver here in this Canadian series, Hunter Reeve out of the New York region, trying to bring that car around right now. He's in 18th. Currently tracking right now. Looks like he's got a couple of good sector times. Let's see what the number 14 can do as he comes out of that final corner. A little bit of a wiggle there for the machine, but he's going to cross over with a 1:12.5. That's going to be a big improvement and sees him jump up to P15.
Yeah, definitely up to P15. And another one that I'm noticing, Alex Ellis is looking like he's got a couple green sectors coming around to finish a lap right now. He's currently provisionally second on the board with one final turn left. We'll see what this lap time will do for him as he gets on the throttle, see if he improves up to 1:11.4. Not enough to take away the top spot, but does improve his time.
Yeah, it is going to improve his time. I think that actually may have been an identical lap to what he ran on the previous lap, which is just absolutely remarkable consistency there for Alex Ellis. So a great job for the number 5. Little bit of a slide, though, coming around through the corner there through Quebec, so that's not going to do him any favors. As he now brings the car down here into Moss. We're going to take another look at Hunter Reeve as he comes back through the S's right now. now. The number 14 trying to improve. He's got green sector times across the board. Let's see if he's able to improve. We saw him improve on that last lap. A little bit off of the apex there coming through whites. Let's see if that hurts him. Another 0.5 of a second gained, and that's going to put the 14 up into 6th place.
Great driving from Hunter Reeve. It just seems like the more laps he's able to do, the more faster he is on the racetrack, and there's a few other cars that look like they're getting faster as well. DJ, I think that the track is just getting fast.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is a perfect time to talk about the rubbering in effect that iRacing has recently implemented here to the track, that driving line acts a little bit more like it does in real life, that it gets a little bit more rubbered in. There's a little bit more grip on the surface, and so that is just iRacing's continued striving towards racing perfection here, and it looks like that's certainly showing out in qualifying.
It is. I know that they're always trying to adapt, always trying to make it more realistic, always trying to make it better, and that's what we love to see out here. The more real that we can get it, that's what we want. And riding on board with Hunter Reeve, we'll see if he comes across and clicks off another even faster lap time. Remember, he's clicked off 2 in a row that have been faster, and here's the 3rd lap as he comes out of the final corner.
All right, was the New Yorker able to improve? Not 3 in a row there. The number 14 going to stay in 6th place for the moment, but there's only about 45 seconds left on the clock right now, and crucially, drivers will not be able to complete their hot lap, so you've got to cross over the line before that clock strikes 20. Joseph Yang sliding the car down through the S's as he runs, trying to come to the line right now, seeing a couple of improvements. Oh, but he's going to get it all wrong, going through whites, a hard spear off into the wall there, and that is going to be the end of Joseph Yang's day. He will do no better than 13th. Let's see if Dave Peterson is able to improve here at this point. A 12.417. That's not going to be improvement for the Mid-South driver. Here comes Andrew Hardman. Is he able to improve? No, this is going to be a slow one there for your provisional pole sitter at this moment as the clock strikes 0, and that is going to bring us around and get us ready to go racing here from Mosport. Let's go ahead and rifle you through the grid right now as we are ready to get underway, and we will have a rolling start around here. So that was going to be a good one. Andrew Hardman will line up in pole position, followed by Alex Ellis. Ellis able to get a lap in just at the moment there. Looked like he was able to improve his time just a little bit, but not enough to move up into P1. Scott Bedard was P3, and then Zachary Buchanan will line up in P4. Michael Broomhead, series organizer in the 00, starts off in P5, followed by Hunter Reeve, who was on a great tear, improving the whole time. Kevin Hill starts 7th with Robert Ridgway flanking him, and then Stephen Ritters and Daniel Salmon will round out your top 10.
In 11th place, we have Dave Peterson, followed by Christian Jasper, Joseph Yang, and Mark Boyd. Alex Federico rounding out the top 15. In 16th place, we have James Carter, Patrick Arsenault, Phil Amaro, Harland Gulbarn, and then in the 20th spot, Steven Sutherland.
Then in 21st, we have Lissandra Ferreira, followed by Cedric O'Hayan, and then Keenan Harris and Guillaume Hiard will round out your 24-car field, as I'm not sure if Guillaume actually is in the session. We haven't seen him on track all day long, but a rolling start here, that's going to make things a little bit, I would say, probably easier here for these drivers as we take a live look at the number 70 there of James Carter. Gotta say, I love that shirt, and if you want to be owning that shirt, head on over to storeenvy.com/GSRC and be able to get yourself one. I have one in my dresser right now that I crack out on special occasions. So there you go. That is our onboard look for the day, but a rolling start here, Joey. What are your keys going to be on this pace lap, on this first lap, with that in mind?
I think, obviously, don't go full Ricky Taylor like from a few years back, and keep it on the racetrack first of all. We need to see the green flag. That's the biggest goal. But I think given that we have kind of 2 races here, a shorter one and then a feature, let's try a few things out. I don't want to get overly aggressive, but maybe if I'm lined up on the left side, I try out the outside line in turn 1 and see if there's any grip out there.
Yeah, I think that certainly could be the way to go. We've seen many a pass get made there into turn one. It's really pretty crucial to try to do it, and with a side-by-side start here, that could be the way to go. As drivers here work their way around, by the way, just another quick view at that weather. 87 degrees Fahrenheit out on the track right now, 71 degrees Fahrenheit in the air. That's 22 and 31 for you folks on the metric system. Not a lot of wind to speak of, so that's going to be good, and humidity right in acceptable ranges. A pretty picture-perfect day out there. Got to say, I'm a little bit jealous. It's a little bit chilly here in Southern California. At least it has been the past couple of days, and I'd love some 70s to come back in.
Well, I would probably take what you got there in Southern California, because I woke up to frosty, crunchy grass, and it hasn't gone away all day over here, DJ.
I say chilly. It was, in the high 40s, low 50s. So for Southern California, that's frigid.
Well, looks like the pace car's headed down the back straightaway. It's time to tighten those belts, make sure you got everything ready to go. And I know that I'm ready to get this first race underway here.
Yeah, as am I. Again, a 15-minute feature heat race followed by a 30-minute feature race, and that top 10 will be inverted for that feature race, so that'll throw things around a little bit and make things a little bit interesting as the field now makes its way into perfect double file order here, coming down through the S's. Andrew Hardman leading the way in that blue number 2 machine. Alex Ellis to his outside in the number 5. As they come down now through the final part of the S's and into White's corner. Pace car pulls off into pit lane, and we get ready to go racing as there goes the green, and we are racing in Canada. Talk about a perfect start there for Andrew Hardman, able to get the jump onto the field. Looks like Zachary Buchanan's been able to gain 1 place over Scott Bedard as the field works its way through turn 1 for the first time. Not seeing a lot of side-by-side there, although a couple of big movers, Daniel Salmon and Christian Jaspers. We've got one car off under the grass. That's Kevin Hill going for a ride.
Looks like Kevin Hill just took too much speed over the crest into turn 2 and finds himself out into the tire barrier. But you're right, DJ. Really clean start for the most of this field, and especially throughout the top 10 single file.
Yeah, very single file. As I've got to give some credit here to Ellis and Buchanan holding on close to the back of Andrew Hardman as they work their way through Moss Hairpin for the first time. Coming onto the back straightaway right now, Ellis thought about maybe having a little bit of a look there on Hardman, and he's going to be drawing into the draft on the number 27 here. This is Steven Ritter's having a little bit of problems. He's going to find himself down in 21st right now, but we've got side-by-side for the lead. Here comes Alex Ellis down to the inside of the S's, trying to make that move work. It's going to be good for the moment, but it's going to switch back here on Hardman. Little bit of a chop, and Hardman's going to be able to hold on to it.
What a first lap here for this series. If this is any sort of preview of the racing that we're going to get out of the rest of the races, sign me up.
Sign me up, indeed. Some good side-by-side. Oh, that's Bedard. Bedard getting things wrong and falling back down through the order. Excuse me, that was Buchanan losing a spot to Scott Bedard, running a little bit wide there in that baby blue machine, the baby blue and yellow that you saw go wide. And now it's going to be Bedard's turn to go off. That is a commentator's curse if I've ever seen one. And contact there with the outside retaining wall.
Yeah, now he cuts back across the track. We got cars avoiding action, spinning now in front of them as they're going down the hill, causing more chaos. It looks like that's the 35 machine of Dave Peterson affected on that one.
Yes, he was, and he got caught a little bit out. By the way, we did have a little bit of an error there from Alex Ellis coming up through Moss Hairpin. He ran it a little bit wide coming through the corner, and luckily able to hold on close enough with draft range. But we're starting to see just a little bit of a breakaway starting to form here. Hardman, Ellis, Buchanan, and Broomhead starting to leave the rest of the field behind.
What I'm really liking out of this car and track combination that I'm seeing, DJ, is really that slipstream effect is drastic. And what that is allowing is these cars in second, third, and fourth place really not to lose touch, and that provides some great racing up here for the front.
Yeah, it provides some absolutely fantastic racing as Michael Broomhead out of fourth place position. So that's the fastest lap of the race. We ride on board with the number 40 of Zachary Buchanan. Diamond off the corner there a little bit more as he runs through Quebec, try to take that wide exit there on the outside. Here comes Ellis, though, starting to look a little bit aggressive. Is he going to try to send this too wide through Moss? Yes, he is. Gets the move down to the inside. I haven't seen that in a long time.
That all started with his exit out at turn 4. Really, Alex Ellis got on the gas and Hardman had a poor exit, but look at this. Out of the hairpin, that draft effect once again. Andrew Hardman now going to pull out to driver's left, and it'll be that breaking dual game of chicken coming off of the back straightaway.
And it looks like Ellis is going to win that for the moment. He's going to be able to stay ahead right now. Hardman falling back into line, but that has allowed for Buchanan and Broomhead to be able to close in on the back. They have completely dropped Daniel Salmon here at this point. Salmon finds himself about 2.3 seconds behind. There you can see him flashing on by in the back of your screen. Alex Ellis setting the fastest lap of the race just for good measure.
I'm a little worried for the rest of this field right now. I think that number 5 car of Alex Ellis has a lot of speed, and he's starting to stretch his legs. Looks like up to about a half a second as we're going to go back and check out some of these replays.
Yeah, and this is that incident with Kevin Hill. You talked about that perfectly, just drove it a little bit wide coming down through Clayton, and that was enough to send him off.
Yeah, that was the first lap. Everything is still coming up to temperature as well as we're going to catch another one here. This is coming down into Moss Corner. Ooh, just Steven Ritters with a big tank slapper, but the gravel trap catches him.
And you actually mentioned that spot to me a little bit earlier before we came on air, Joey, that you can really bottom out the car there coming down that hill, and I think that's what happened there to the 27.
It very well could be. I know that some of these cars can run pretty low, and with the aerodynamic grip that they make, that means a ton of air is pushing down as we're getting Bedard getting out into the tires. We caught that one live as well. It can really bottom out a car, and there's some big bumps here at Mosport.
Yeah, there certainly are. And there you can see some of the calamity that followed from Bedard there, just trying to get back on track and pointed the right way. And drivers just kind of losing it there. Oh, as Andrew Hardman spins. Hardman spins coming down through the corner. My goodness, he's lost it. Your pole sitter here losing it coming down through Clayton.
He just lost it all by himself, and he's trying to get it gathered back up right now. Turn 2 is so tricky here at this racetrack. Turn 1 is fast, and if you think 1 is fast, 2 is even faster. Lots of times it's just a breathe of the throttle, try to get the nose turned in, and you see the rear just come around right here on Hardman, and no saving it from there.
No saving it at all. Tries to get on the binders. You can see those tires locking up as he skips across the grass. And I can report here at this point that Hardman has taken a tow back into pit lane. And I think that damage is going to be terminal at this point in the heat race. Now, this is going to give Alex Ellis a nice little bit of breathing room up at the front of the field to the tune of about 1.4, 1.5 seconds. Zachary Buchanan, meanwhile, does have a little bit of a fight on his hands with Michael Broomhead, only about 0.8 of a second behind.
Yeah, Broomhead is right there, still applying the pressure, but I'm curious to see if we're going to see Buchanan close up that lead. I'm checking these lap times, and both of the leaders were in the 11s, and Broomhead was in the 12s, but they're all kind of within that slipstream range still.
Yeah, they certainly are. So they'll be getting a hint of that slipstream. It's just a matter of what they're going to be able to do with it. There's only about 8.5 minutes remain here in this heat race. And remember, we will have a 30-minute feature race with the top 10 inverted as they drive their way through the corner. No. And there goes Buchanan, getting it all wrong, coming up through Moss.
Yeah, you called it, DJ. And now he spins it around, trying to get it gathered back up with competitors coming around. You got to be careful about the rejoin, and he spins it around again.
Just trying to get out of the way and get pointed the right way. There, he's finally got it going again. That was about as close can be. As we jump back here to take a look at the GSRC replay, riding on board with Joseph Yang, who had, the close call of the race thus far.
Yeah, I think we're just going to see the car spun in front of him and really not see him at all. Yeah, you're right. Joseph Yang just with a huge slide, and then here's Buchanan. Oh, no! Oh my goodness, DJ. I don't know how he avoided that one.
I have no idea how he managed to hold on to that, but my goodness gracious, absolutely amazing. Not only the slide coming up through Moss there for Joseph Yang, but just being able to hold on to that as we've got more cars going off down through Clayton. It looks like Jasper and Federico both having a problem through that tricky turn 2. It's catching everybody out here today.
If this was real life, I'd say there's something on the racetrack, oil, debris there. What is going on out there is we got multiple cars going off at turn 2 and catching another replay. This is a separate incident of these cars going down the back straightaway here. We're going to kind of see what happens, as I know that quite a few of these cars are just kind of seeing incidents pop up all over the place right now.
Yeah, they certainly are. This is the one that we saw a little bit earlier here as they come back through. You can see they're holding on behind Robert Ridgway. I believe this is Federico that we saw having that problem. He comes down, everything looks together coming through turn 1, but now as he comes in, touched the grass there on the entry into Clayton, and that's what sent him off.
Yeah, got to be careful about your loaded tires. And yeah, as soon as you try to turn on a loaded tire that's in the grass, doesn't like that.
No, it certainly does not. As we take a look here at the number 00 of Michael Broomhead running in second place right now. He finds himself about 3.5 seconds behind Alex Ellis, but he's also got about 5 seconds back to Daniel Salmon right now. Salmon actually finds himself under a little bit of pressure here from Robert Ridgway, as that battle looks like it could be heating up a little bit coming down the back straightaway. There you can see it, by the way, that is Goldborn up ahead of them and Bedard behind them. So 2 lapped cars getting into the mix of this battle. Looks like that's going to be Goldborn getting out of the way, doing the sportsmanly thing there and letting this battle take place in front of him.
Sportsmanly thing, but one thing I'm noticing, Bedard, the car in between, it has a matching paint scheme to Ridgway here. I would assume that they're teammates out there, and I wouldn't expect to see Bedard pull over anytime soon. In fact, it looks like he's applying a pressure to Daniel Salmon out there.
Yeah, I think he's doing exactly that here at this point, just trying to see if he can maybe get himself up onto the podium here as we take closer and closer to 5 minutes left to go in this race. Salmon does look like he's able to build a little bit of a gap. It's going to close in a little bit as they come down through Clayton. Looks like this gaggle of 4 cars going to be able to avoid any calamity here at this point, but then a little bit off of the apex there for Salmon, and that's going to mean that Ridgway's going to be right in pouncing position as they come into Moss.
Yeah, and Salmon and Ridgway are battling out. That's Bedard that's actually right behind Salmon. So we've got the team car that's a couple laps down that's just kind of playing there right in the middle from what I'm seeing. And looks like Bedard's actually going to have a great run coming up out of the back straightaway here. We're going to see him go side by side with Salmon headed down into this last chute braking zone.
Yeah, it is, and Bedard there just, I think, trying to have a little bit of fun out on the track right now, but that's going to push them both a little bit wide, and that is going to send Bedard out. He is now going to drop to the back of this pack, and so the first 2 cars that you see in line here, the 659 and the 17, those are going to be the ones racing for that pole position. Something's happened here to Steven Sutherland, it looks like. The number 8 getting things wrong coming out of Moss, potentially. Joey, let's take a look.
Yeah, headed down the hill into Moss here. Looks like a little wiggle coming in. Oh, just runs wide there in Moss. It's so easy to get in too deep going into the hairpin, and that's what it looks like happened.
Yeah, it just brought a little bit too much speed into there, and you can normally tell when that's going to happen. The tail end likes to kind of step out if you bring up a little bit too much speed going down into that corner, and that's sort of a portent of things to come as we continue to focus here. This is the the 17 on your screen right now. Daniel Salmon holding off in the best of his ability, or trying to catch in on the back of Salmon up in front of him. There we go. As 3 minutes remain on the clock, so I've got to say here, if Ridgway wants to get this move done, he's got to do it sooner rather than later. I think we could be coming here to about 2 laps to go at the line.
Yeah, I'm watching our leader. He crossed the line right now, right at 3 minutes. So it looks like we'll probably have, 2+ laps to go. But this battle for that 3rd place has gone nowhere. That's Daniel Salmon being hounded by Robert Ridgway, who we're riding on board with right now.
And Joey, when you're in this position, when you're in Ridgway's position around a track that is so fast and so sweeping, you can't really do some of the tricks that we normally see of kind of popping your nose out into the braking zone, because we've seen what happens if you get offline under braking. What else can you do to try to elicit an error out of that driver in front of you?
I think just the more pressure that you can apply, the better. And one thing that if I'm Robert Ridgway, I don't want is my teammate Bedard applying and trying to go side by side. But these guys are just having fun racing out there. And I think that's really what matters, especially in this earlier race. It's not the feature yet. Go out and have fun. And at the end of it, when you're smiling, that's what matters.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. This is about having a good time and putting on a good show for us here on the Global SimRacing Channel, and we very much appreciate them coming on here for it. Looks like Salmon's got a little bit of gap here coming down into the S's for the moment. Bedard able to carry some great speed down into that corner. We obviously know just how quick that car was, having qualified up in the top 5. Here's another little battle. Zachary Buchanan trying to work his way back forward, trying to challenge Mark Boyd. Now going down into the S's, 2 laps to go for these drivers.
Yeah, watching Buchanan come out onto the front straightaway really gets a good exit there. Not going to be able to do anything into turn 1. DJ, you were mentioning these corners are so fast you can't really poke a nose down. However, I will go back to that. You can still show a mirror full, you know, and sometimes it's not about making that lunge or putting him off his game. It's throwing a variable to maybe make him be off of his game.
Yeah, very much so, and a little bit of a look like that, I think, coming through Quebec could be it, but now here comes Zachary Buchanan fighting back. He's going to have the inside line coming into Moss, but is that going to play itself out? Almost contact there coming down the hill. Buchanan's going to break a little bit early there, and let Boyd be able to hold that out, but is the draft going to come back into play here for that teal and yellow machine as they come down the Mario Andretti straightaway?
Great racing from Buchanan coming down the hill, and then ultimately got a good exit out of Moss. Going to take it up drivers left right now. Very short braking zone, but it looks like he's going to go later on the brakes and pass Mark Boyd for that 8th spot.
Good move there by Buchanan. He is going to be able to move himself up into 8th, as you said, as they're going to come across the line here with the white flag in the air. 1 lap to go for the heat race from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. As drivers continue to work their way around, here is your leader, the number 5 of Alex Ellis. He had a little bit of competition at the beginning. That is high in there that he's able to work his way by, and I think that's Ellis thanking his lucky stars. That didn't come to worse.
Yeah, you know, when you're the leader, you're just crossing your fingers and toes for consistency out of all the cars that you come up on the racetrack, but it doesn't always happen, and that's when you got to show, hey, I'm the leader and I'm out here for a reason.
Yeah, exactly, and it looks like he was able to do that at this point. One final time down through this right, left, right complex here for Alex Ellis before he will take the checkered flag. Comes down through White's corner right now, and he will be your victor here in the heat race from Mosport. Michael Broomhead looks like he's going to solidly be able to come home P2, but we've got a battle here for P3 as Ridgway's finally been able to get a nose ahead of Salmon, and that's Salmon getting it wrong, having to get on the binders through White's. He is pointed the wrong way from 3rd down to 5th, and a great last lap run there for Robert Ridgway.
Robert Ridgway drafted down the back straightaway, took it super late on the brakes, coming down into the braking zone. We're going to get this awesome replay right here. You're going to see the outside car take it really deep, too wide through here, and then ultimately it was Salmon that just got on the throttle here and spun it around.
And you could see there from that overhead perspective, thank goodness for those open cockpit cars, just how much sawing at the wheel Ridgway was having to do to keep that car working going through the left and right-hander as we have the last couple of drivers crossing over the line. That is Sutherland there coming across right now, just waiting for Andrew Hardman to finish up here at this point, and that's going to bring us to what we anticipate being our final finishing order here for this heat race. Alex Ellis able to take victory over Broomhead and Ridgway, working their way on down. Absolutely incredible stuff. And Joey, we're not done. We've got a full feature race still yet to run here.
We do have the feature race, and don't forget, DJ, I'm pretty sure we're going to throw that 10 invert. So, hey, things might have not worked out Daniel Salmon's way at the end, but they sure look good right now.
They certainly do. He's going to have a pretty decent starting position here, and let's run you through the starting grid for race number 2 here tonight. Phil Amaro going to be starting off in pole position with Christian Jasper flanking him. Then it's Daniel Salmon and Mark Boyd in row 2. Steven Ritters lines up P5, followed by Patrick Arsenault with Joseph Yang and Robert Ridgway in P8. Michael Broomhead is 9th, and your race 1 winner, Alex Ellis, will line up in 10th.
11th spot there is Zachary Buchanan, followed by Dave Peterson, Steven Sutherland, Hunter Reeve, Lissandra Ferreira in the 15th spot, Andrew Hardman, James Carter, Scott Bedard, Cedric Ohayon, and Alex Federico in the 20th position.
21st will be Harlan Goldborn, followed by Kevin Hill with Keenan Harris in 23rd to round out your field. We were correct, by the way, that Guillaume Yard did not line up. Looks like we got a couple of drivers actually not lining up here in this final round, but all right, we've been able to flex our muscles a little bit. We know how this track is going to go. I think all of these drivers probably going to apply a little bit of caution here coming down through Clayton in particular, as that seemed to be the giant killer in race 1.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate over here, DJ. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say we're going to see even more calamity because these drivers were just out there on hot tires. That's what they're used to. That's what they're in the rhythm for. I'm expecting to see cars go flying off in turn 2.
All right, we'll have to see if that does take place here at this point as we take a look out the back of your pole sitter Phil Amaro's machine right now, the number 26, bringing this field around. By the way, track temperatures, air temperatures haven't changed here whatsoever. It's still about 87 degrees Fahrenheit out on track. Here's Alex Ellis, who was obviously last winter's race. He's going to have a lot of work to do to try to gain up these 10 positions, but with a 30-minute race, that could make things a little bit easier for him.
Yeah, we're going to see the pace definitely come into effect here. And some drivers like a shorter sprint race just to be aggressive, and some of them like a bit of a longer race.
And we'll have to find out which drivers like it. Maybe a little bit of tire-saving strategy coming into effect here for these drivers as well. That could be something that we have to keep in mind on here, as this is going to be double the length, and you're not able to just completely lean on these tires for the entire time.
Yeah, no, we're just going to have to see how all of that tire wear plays out, but you mentioned it, double the race distance, and the other thing to consider is the fuel. These cars are going to be carrying a considerable more amount of fuel than they were here in race 1, and see if that catches anybody out in the brake zones.
Yeah, that could be a big thing. Obviously, more fuel equals more weight for these drivers, and that's going to change your braking zones, change your braking lines a little bit as you come down into these corners. So we will have to see if that changes anything. But right now, Amaro leads the field around to green as the iRacing pace car pulls off down pit lane. Amaro gets onto the loud pedal, and there goes the green. We are racing in Mosport. Not nearly of a good of a jump there for Amaro. Jasper going to challenge. We're 3-4 wide coming down through turn 1. Everyone trying to hold this on. That's going to be a driver off. That's Christian Jasper off into the grass, but he's able to hold it well as the field tries to work their way now down into Clayton, trying to work everything out here. Looks like we've had a little bit of a coming together in the back. That's Carter and Ohayon there off into the background, hard into the tire barriers, but other than that, everybody through Clayton cleanly.
Amazing moves from race 1 winner Alex Ellis finds himself in the 3rd position going around turn 4. He started in the 10th spot. How many spots can he make up? He's already down the inside of Moss. Now he's taking a look down the inside of our leader, our race 1 winner, already to the point.
How did he do that? I have never seen anything like that, just able to absolutely pick his way through the field. Alex Ellis with the run to end all runs here, but he may not be done yet because we've got a little bit of a battle starting to heat up there behind him. That's going to be Arsenault trying to close on in. Amaro already down 2 positions, but Arsenault up 4 as he tries to close in on the back of Alex Ellis. Some good movement there up and down through the field. Single file down through whites. Little bit of movement there as they come across the start-finish line to complete lap 1.
I tell you what, Alex Ellis from 10th to 1st in 1 lap is, oh no! As I just say that, Alex Ellis goes around the turn 2 and collects multiple cars.
I see Yang, Jasper, Broomhead, Ridgeway, Hardman, Federico, Salmon all taken out in this. It's an absolute parking lot on the exit there of the corner. My goodness gracious. We'll have to get a replay there to find out exactly what happened to Ellis. There you see the number 5 bringing it back around, but Joey, I think he just got the corner wrong and went off into the grass.
You called it. Turn 1 exit, got it all wrong. Tank slappered into the wall and then back across the track. Look at this, DJ. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I counted 8 cars caught up in this one. It looked like Talladega out there.
It certainly did. My goodness gracious, there you can see it. And Ellis, frankly, the worst, the best out of any of them in the way that he got himself back around. Let's take a look on board here of Michael Broomhead as he came down through the corner. There you can see Ellis, this puff of smoke as he tries to avoid, and as he just sort of jumped on the brakes there. I'm not sure if he got tapped from behind by Salmon there or what happened, but the car just breaking out on the back end.
It's just a worst case scenario. Turn 1 is so fast. Turn 2 is even faster. All of these cars are on the gases. Oh no, it looks like we got problems. Is this Michael Broomhead? Looks like coming up out of, I believe this is turn 3 that he was coming up out of. And yeah, he is stopped on the racetrack.
Stopped out on the racetrack, and that's going to leave Patrick Arsenault up into the lead of this race to the tune of about 1.5 seconds. Crucial there for him, as that's going to be outside of effective draft range. He's going to be able to hope to keep that up. We do have a pretty fierce battle here for second on back, however. Amaro leading Ritters, leading Boyd, leading Buchanan, leading Bedard, leading Ellis. So clearly, as they try to come through here, and now we are going to watch Zachary Buchanan working his way up through. That's going to be a move sent on Mark Boyd. Good job, Dale, for the teal number 40.
Let's keep an eye on that Zachary Buchanan car. You know, not only because he's one of the brightest cars out there on the racetrack, but he had a little bit of misfortune earlier in race 1, but kind of clawed his way back up there, and now he's in a decent spot, position 4 out there, and he's already trying to make a move on Steven Ritters.
Oh, and there your race 1 winner having another problem. Alex Ellis off into the grass on the outside of, I believe that's turn 1 yet again. Let's see here exactly what happened. Tries to send a move down up to the inside, gets a little bit of a block, makes contact with the inside wall, and a hard lick into the outside wall there. I think that's going to be Ellis's day done, as indeed I see him towing back into the pits. Oh, and here we go, Amaro off in on Moss.
Amaro, yeah, just got it wrong coming down the hill. They were too wide there. Buchanan was putting pressure on Ritters, and Amaro was also there. This is the lead car. We're going to be coming down through turn 3 right now, headed down to turn 4, and everything's actually going to happen behind them with multiple pressure. Your mirrors are filled right now.
Yeah, mirrors actually filled. He's just trying to be able to hold on to it and brought a little bit too much speed there through that corner. And as we mentioned before, the cars can easily bottom out at that point, and I think that's exactly what caught out Amaro there. We jump back to live pictures right now as Ritters leads Buchanan, leads Boyd, leads Bedard as they come down through turn 1. A little bit offline there for Steven Ritters. He's going to be able to hold the car back right now. Buchanan having a little bit of a look coming down into Clayton as all 4 cars fly their way through. Buchanan a little bit offline, but able to gather it back up underneath him and keep pushing ahead.
This is a great battle for second place. You see all 4 of these cars on screen. These are for positions, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And I'm seeing Zachary Buchanan. Ooh, big wiggle coming down the hill. It shows you just how fast these cars are going. But I think Buchanan's got a little bit more speed right now. See if he can capitalize on this exit and the slipstream going down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I think you're right, as there he comes tucking in behind right now of Ritters as they continue to fly their way down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Here comes Buchanan, poking his nose at the outside, trying to see what he is going to be able to get as they come down through the S's. Is he going to have the bravery to make this work around the outside? Trying to see, not able to get it done, and Buchanan's going to have to settle back down into 3rd position. Mark Boyd starting to lick his lips a little bit, looking very, very hungry to try to move his way forward.
And not only Boyd, but that's Bedard there in the 5th spot. Remember, we saw him a few laps down in that first race, but here he is in the top 5 fighting it out on the lead lap here.
Yeah, certainly is, and this is a great battle, and currently your closest battle on the entire track right now, so we're going to keep our eyes right here. Buchanan right back up to the rear wing of Ritters right now, trying to be able to find the way past. We jump back here to fourth in line, riding on board with Scott Bedard as he dives down into the corner. No wiggles there for him. Thinks about a little bit of a look down to the inside there of Mark Boyd. I don't think that was a full-hearted look. I think that was a little bit of what you talked about earlier, Joey, of just trying to fill up the mirrors there of the Canadian driver in front of him.
Yeah, Buchanan's got a draft on Ritters, and Bedard has a draft on Boyd. Look at this, almost simultaneous moves, like they're flying in formation down the back straightaway.
I absolutely love to see it here for these drivers as they go. Coming down through the S's, it looks like Buchanan's been able to get his nose ahead as they try to be able to get themselves ahead. Looks like Ohio there is going to be the lapped car in the front of all of them as they bring their way down through right now. Ohio was able to get out of the way there for Arsenault. Arsenault has seen his gap fall a little bit here. It's down to about 1.5 seconds. Oh, but a big check up there for Buchanan and getting onto the radio. Ohio not exactly pleased with the way that Ohio was comporting himself there.
No, it's always tough, and whenever you're battling too wide, it looks like Bedard is now going to try to battle it out too wide and get around the lap car as well, but the tensions are always high, especially in the helmet, and it always seems like everybody is on the wrong spot except you.
Yeah, exactly. That's just a little bit of that racing driver mentality that we like to talk about here sometimes on the channel. As Buchanan now has been able to slip the chains of Steven Ritters, and he's going to hopefully pull out as much as he can here. That gap already expanding up to 9/10 of a second. We're going to have to see if he's able to run down your leader, Patrick Arsenault. But farther back in the field, here comes Bedard trying to make that move on Ritters, looking his way to the outside, sweeping around the outside and chopping down is the Atomic Racing driver, the number 83. Move him up into P3.
Yeah, Bedard up to the third spot, and something that I'm noticing here is that Scott Bedard and Zachary Buchanan are running very similar lap times, and a thing to note, they're running faster lap times than our leader, and they're already starting to catch him.
Yeah, they are. That gap is already down to 1.1 seconds there as we watch the 9:25 on your screen. He works his way down through Quebec right now. There you can see those lap times starting to fall by the wayside. That big chunk being taken out there on lap 6. About 1.4 seconds was really the death knell in all of that. But now it is just a matter of closing it down. I have to say, I love that helmet. If we can get another view of that, I believe that's a Top Gun helmet, and I am fully in support of that here from Arsenault.
Yes, that would be great to see out there, and especially we were making, the formation comment earlier, and look at that, the classic Maverick lid.
I love it. I absolutely love it. He clearly feels the need for speed as he is leading this race at this point. But I also love that camera because you can see out the back there as they come down through the order starting to close. We take a look back down at 17th place, though, right now. James Carter working his way around right now. Ooh, car spun in front of him. That's Steven Sutherland, and that is going to promote Carter up into 16th position. Loved being able to be on board with that. Massive credit to our director, Joe Peak. You could see not a single blink there for James Carter. Just handled that like it was nothing.
Well, one thing that we've got him here on the screen, and something to notice is how bumpy this racetrack is. Look at how hard he's really having to control that wheel. He doesn't have a tight grip on it, but it's constantly shaking back and forth, and that's one thing Mosport is known for, at least old Mosport, is it was bumpy out there.
Yeah, certainly is, as, we may have to come back here and check in on the battle for the lead right now because Zachary Buchanan has closed on in, as has Scott Bedard here at this point. Buchanan gonna take that look to the outside here as they come down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Is he gonna be able to make this work down into the S's? He's got the overspeed. Can he get the car woed up in time? The simple and clean answer to that is yes. Move Buchanan up into the lead of the race.
To the point, Zachary Buchanan, that's the second time that I've really seen him make that really late lunge, and something I'm noticing here, I think that's one of these cars, I think that's Bedard coming into the pits, and I wonder if this is to come and take fuel.
I wonder if it is as well. We didn't necessarily anticipate fuel being a problem, so I wonder if he maybe needs a quick fuel stop here, or maybe wants to get a little bit of damage repaired on that car. Looked pretty quick there, only a 6-second stop. wonder if he maybe just underfueled the car or something of that nature, but that's going to drop Bedard all the way down to what looks like 11th, maybe even 12th place by the time he gets out of the pits.
Yeah, not the pit strategy that I want to see out there if you're running in the top 5, but we'll see how it all plays out. Zachary Buchanan, once he got that sniff of the lead, it looks like he's starting to stretch his legs over Patrick Arsenault right now as they come down the back straightaway, but that's allowing Steven Ritters to really close up in that slipstream going down the back straightaway. I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move this time, but right there tucked up underneath the wing.
Ducked up underneath the wing. He's going to have to deal with a little bit of aero wash here as they come down through the S's right now, trying to see what he is able to find. Takes a little bit of a peek to the inside there, but nothing's going to play itself out. We'll take a little bit of a look farther back down in the field. Bedard had a problem, we're hearing, coming down through Moss Corner, I believe. As we jump back here to check out the replay, looks like, as Ritters just went off on screen. We'll get a replay of that here in a second. But let's watch this, Joey. Looks like there was a little bit of lap traffic in front of him, and I think a little bit of target fixation there throwing him off.
Yeah, just it can happen to the best of us, and it's a variable. You know, anytime you introduce variables, things can happen. And looking at Steven Ritters here, this is another replay. I think that he's just going to touch the grass on entry here and lose it. And not only does he spin it around here and turn to heavy impact into the wall, but gonna have big damage and spun it around once again as he was trying to get going.
Yeah, it looks like he is able to get the car back moving again, but he is going to find himself all the way down in 12th place position, and I've seen a couple of off tracks here for Ritter, so I think that damage may be a little bit terminal. As we take a look right now on the number 40 here, Zachary Buchanan continuing to lead this race, extending that gap over Patrick Arsenault here at this point. He's been able to steadily grow that gap on average by, I'd say, about 0.6 of a second per lap.
Yeah, about 0.6 of a second indeed. And, you know, Joe Peak is on top of it. This is Joseph Yang hounding Harlan Galbone out there for about, looks like the 7th place, only 0.3 of a second separating these two. And DJ, I was going to make the remark, look at how much these drivers are throwing these cars into the corner.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're absolutely chucking them in here. So much for trying to tire save. These drivers are just driving the wheels off of these things here at this point as we continue to keep our eyes on the number 55. Loses a little bit of time there, does Joseph Yang behind Goldborn as they come through Quebec corner. Now he's going to start to lose a little bit more time here. Hopefully going to get a better run through Moss. Took a little bit of a narrower entry there into the corner. Going to take it out here. Just have to get on the throttle. It looks like a corner there, Joey, that you should be able to take about 27 different lines through, but the reality is there's really one way and one way only to make it through.
Yeah, you know, I can argue that there's only one way to come out of Moss Corner. I think there's a few ways to drive the middle of it, but it's definitely interesting. And you made the comment very early in the race that it's just so difficult to drive that corner in general, and it really is, especially when you start to go too wide and up over the crest and then into the compression coming out of it, but you still have that giant exit curb on the left side. It's a bit like autocross mixed in with heavy brake zone, and throw it all into one mix there.
Yeah, most certainly. As we see another driver coming down into pit lane, that was Patrick Arsenault coming in. We are not sure, again, if that is for fuel. My guess is with a 10-second stop, that is probably what it is here at this point. But everybody else continues to work their way around. Arsenault finds himself down in 9th place under a little bit of pressure here from Christian Jasper. So again, we're not entirely sure about this fuel stop window, if drivers are going to have to come on in, but we will keep you abreast as we watch the rest of the field. This is now actually turned into our closest battle out on track at the moment, frankly, because we have had a lot of attrition here today. Only 16 drivers of the 23 that gridded up remain out on track right now. And I can confirm, by the way, that this does look like to be an expected fuel stop as Mark Boyd and Dave Peterson both coming down into pit lane right now.
Yeah, I think that some of these cars just decided to stop a little bit earlier, and the reason why it really was throwing me for a loop is we just had a 15-minute race where everybody made it on fuel, so I was expecting maybe a 50-50 fuel strategy, but nice to see a few different varying strategies out there.
Yeah, very nice to see. We're also seeing the number 24 there in the background of Harlan Goldborn coming down into pit lane. Boyd was about 8 seconds in the box. Peterson about 13. So we're having a wide variety here of different pit stop strategies. And I wonder if some of that could be a little bit of damage that we've seen. Remember, many of these drivers were involved in that opening lap, that opening couple of laps, that big parking lot situation that we had going down into Clayton Corner. So I wonder if some drivers maybe picked up some damage that way. We ride on board with our leader, Zachary Buchanan, in the number 40, who's going to be the latest to pull that car down into pit lane. He gets onto the speed limiter, and he should be nice and clean and into the box.
Loving that big logo on the front end of this car, kind of like that t-shirt that James Carter was wearing earlier, and gets it stopped in the box on his marks. That's the most important thing that you can do, especially as the leader. And we'll see how long this pit stop is. Most of the cars have been taking about 6 to 10 seconds worth of fuel, and looks like Buchanan was right there in that number.
Yes, he certainly was there at this point. So going to come out for 9.5 seconds. That'll see him come out directly behind a little bit of lap traffic in the form of Andrew Hardman. I dare have to say that may be actually pretty good for Buchanan here, as he'll be able to pick up a nice little bit of draft. As now we take a look at your leader who has inherited the lead of this race, Kevin Hill in the number 51 in the Mid-South region. He works his way through Moss right now. Still have to make his pit stop, as does the driver behind him, Joseph Yang, and Christian Jasper behind him. So right now, Hill is your leader as they continue to work their way through. Some of these battles starting to separate here, Joey, but I anticipate we're going to see them close up a lot more now that we are in about to be the final 10 minutes of this race. Here is a good little battle between Bedard and Peterson. Bedard actually setting the fastest lap of the race last time out.
I think you called it, DJ, is that now that these pit stop cycles have kind of come to an end with only a few more cars left to really come in and take their fuel stop, we're seeing the battles condense. It's that accordion effect. They stretched out, and now that everybody's got their cards on the table, where do they lay?
Yeah, exactly. Where is this ultimate speed going to be? By the way, Yang and Hill both down into pit lane, and that will complete everybody who has needed to make their pit stop at this point. We continue to ride on board. Bedard right now looking behind Dave Peterson. A little bit onto the binders. That was Bedard, Peterson rather, getting a little bit long into the corner, but able to hold it nicely. By the way, that's Hunter Reeve up in front of them in 5th place, so this is really a 3-car battle as Peterson tries to be able to get himself out and going. And Joe, I think you had a little bit of information. We do have one driver that has stayed out, not yet come down into pit lane.
That is Christian Jasper, the 67 machine. He's still out there on this first fuel stint, really stretching the fuel tank right now. And I think he might actually be getting a little bit of drafting help from Patrick Arsenault up front, and that's always good for the fuel mileage.
Yeah, it certainly is, as they are able to use a little bit of that tow. Here is Christian Jasper. Probably lift off the throttle a little bit, just let that car kind of coast on in with no real problems. Let's see, though, if the number 67 decides to come off into pit lane on this time of asking. Meanwhile, side by side between Bedard and Peterson, coming down through the S's. It looks like that's going to be Bedard taking the position, as Jasper does indeed come on down into pit lane.
Bedard up to 6th spot, and if I remember correctly, he was kind of hanging out in that top 5 battle earlier, and he was the first one to pit. It doesn't look like that early pit stop has really played out for his strategy, but he is in the top 5 once again, and only about a second back from Hunter Reeve up there in the 4th spot.
Yeah, certainly could be able to work his way in there before all things are said and done on the day, but we will have to see. With under 10 minutes remaining here from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, this is the Radical Winter Racing Cup here, the Radical Canada Cup Winter Series being brought to you.
Bedard off!
Oh, that's Bedard getting it wrong, coming up through the corner.
I'm sorry to interrupt you in the middle of that, DJ. It's just that Bedard was having such a good comeback run, and now he finds himself all the way back in 7th spot. I think he just outbraked himself coming down the hill into Moss Corner.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. As we take a look here on the GSRC replay, coming up right now, down into the braking zone. car doesn't want to step out there. There you can see it just really at that first apex, a little bit too much speed as he brought it in, and that was enough to send him around.
It definitely was enough, and we've talked about Moss Corner so much, you know, it's so difficult, and there's just another reason a solo car going through there can get it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It just goes to show you how difficult this circuit is every single time you work around it. There is absolutely no rest for any of these drivers. You have got to stay on it the entire way through. And speaking of two drivers who have got to stay on it, Kevin Hill and Scott Bedard. Bedard, as you saw, not making contact with the wall, so that is crucial. The 83 not going to be carrying any damage here, and he's hopefully going to be able to get a move done here on Kevin Hill, get himself back into 6th place.
I think that is the crucial part, is no damage that at least I'm seeing on that Bedard machine right now, and he's already in that slipstream of the 51 Kevin Hill. I think he's a little bit too far back to make a move at the end of this straightaway, but he'll be all over the back of Kevin Hill coming through the next section.
Yeah, very much so. That gap already coming down to about a 1/10 of a second. Bedard taking a look to the outside here, coming down through the S as well. Held there for Kevin Hill as he was able to park that car on the apex and not give up a single bit of space. This is going to be a battle of patience, I think, for the number 83 of Scott Bedard. He's going to have to try to just find the opportune moment and not be too aggressive with it, Joey. He's got to make sure that he makes the right decision on when to pass.
Agreed. Not be too aggressive. One of the things that we've seen out of a lot of these competitors is that when they overstep the limit, they tend to overstep it a few times, whether that's trying to get back on track, whether that's the tires just going away after an incident. And Bedard, remember, just had an incident. So you got to be careful. Make sure you're all the way up alongside in order to make this move.
Yeah, you don't want to risk anything here at this point. You've been able to survive for about 23 minutes and change, and you certainly don't want to throw that all away. Finds himself about 5/10 of a second back here at this point, rolling in behind Hill right now. He's going to get a nice helping of that slipstream. Already been able to bring it down by about a 1/10 of a second. Going to gain more as you can see the visual representation of just how powerful that draft is, but he's going to back off coming down through the S's. Again, good controlled aggression there from him. He doesn't want to push that car too hard. He just wants to try to put himself in position.
He's coming into the pits.
Yeah, something's happened to Bedard.
I think that Bedard's early pit stop, he didn't take enough fuel. I was noticing he only took about 6 seconds of fuel on his first pit stop, while most of these other cars were kind of in the 8 to 10 second range, and I wonder if he just didn't take enough.
You know, I was starting to wonder the same thing there, Joey, and it looks like he is going to have to come to rest here in the box. 12 seconds, 13 seconds here for him. That looks like a long pit stop there for that driver. As we're going to take a look now back on the front of the field, your leader, Zachary Buchanan, really doesn't have too much to worry about right now, as the teal number 40 has about a 7.5 second lead over Patrick Arsenault here at this point with 5 minutes to go.
5 minutes to go, and yeah, we haven't really mentioned Zachary Buchanan much in the last 10 minutes or so. He had a great comeback drive through the field to get up to this front spot, but once he's been up front, he really has just kind of stretched his legs, hit his marks, and found a rhythm, and he's just been clicking off consistent 112s out there out front.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to be doing at this stage in the race. You want to find that rhythm. You want to find that groove. And I think here at Mosport, that's particularly important because it is just so absolutely crucial to get that rhythm. I know from my experience, if you lose a little bit of that around here, it can take laps upon laps to try to get back.
It really can, and especially with how high speed everything is, everything comes at you very fast, and the laps click off very fast. So, like you're saying, if you find yourself out of the rhythm, it really can be tough to kind of get back into that groove.
Yeah, very much so. You've got to try to be able to get back into it. We'll take another look back at James Carter right now. Again, sporting that lovely GSRC shirt. And if you want to get your own version of it, head on over to storenvy.com/GSRC to get yourself a version of it. But Carter right now doing a very commendable job, I have to say. He has just kept his nose down, kept his nose clean, and currently runs in 13th position and really holding on well here at this point.
When we were riding on board with him earlier, I think he was back in the 16th or 17th spot, and just through consistency, staying out there on the racetrack, keeping his nose clean, you're right, he's found himself all the way up into the 13th spot, and with still a few laps left, might even be able to claim a couple more depending on what happens out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing he is going to have to worry about, though, is going a lap down, because that car, the very distinctive number 40 of Zachary Buchanan, is going to be coming up behind him right now. And just like a good sportsman, that is going to be James Carter getting off and out of the way for your leader. Lets him go on by, and that will allow for Buchanan to be able to put another car a lap down. We only now have 12 cars running on the lead lap. And again, we've had quite a few retirements here today. We are down to about 14 cars, call it 15 still running. We've got another car off. That's the number 24 of Harlan Goldborn.
Yeah, that's Goldborn right there. He was running in the 9th position. He's only got a few seconds before Christian Jasper enters the screen here, but it looks like Goldborn's back on track. We're going to have to see if there's any damage to this car, as we're going to get a replay of this incident. It just looks like he was out too wide. Pretty heavy impact there on the front end. I would expect there's got to be some sort of damage on that car.
Yeah, I would as well. I don't see a lot of crinkles there necessarily on the front of that splitter, but some pretty hefty damage received to it, so that is not going to be exactly great there for him. And Goldborn is now going to find himself running in 9th place position, only about 1.5 seconds ahead of Christian Jasper. We'll have to see if that damage maybe negatively affects him. 2 minutes to go, though, here for your leader, Buchanan, as he makes his way down the Mario Andretti straightaway. And if my calculations are correct, and never trust a commentator's math, granted, it should be 2 laps to go at the line.
Yeah, you're right. It should be 2 laps to go here at the line, but I just want to make the point, Zachary Buchanan, once again, in the 12s. He's about to cross start finish. I'm expecting him to be in the 12s again. Let's see what it comes across. Once again, 112.74, identical to his last lap, and compare that to the rest of the field. They're all in the 13s, at least for the cars right behind him.
Yeah, it's really, really impressive. And remember, we mentioned that gap between himself and Arsenault was about 7 seconds. It's now up to 9 seconds. For the record, looking down here at the fastest times in the race, he's the only one to crack under a 112. His best lap time is a 111.87, and he is the only driver to get down into those 11s.
Yeah, I know that there's some really fast guys out there, and I think that depending on the lap and the situation that you might be able to crack off those 11s. I think Scott Bedard as well was able to crack off a 111.6. So we saw Scott Bedard maybe not have the most ideal pit strategy, but I think that he has been the fastest car on the racetrack, but ultimately that doesn't matter when you got Zachary Buchanan out front by 8.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's just absolutely massive. More problems there, it looks like, for Harlan Goldborn and the number 24, spinning it coming down through the final corner. By the way, your leader here has taken the white flag as we take a look here at exactly what happened to Harlan as he brings the car down through the S's. Looks like he tried to come down into pit lane, maybe carried a little bit too much speed into there and just spun the car right around.
Yeah, it can be tricky, especially, and I think we're seeing just, oh no, in front of our leader, got a car off right in front of him. Thankfully, it stays off driver's left. That was a very close call for Zachary Buchanan on the final lap. That's never something you want to see.
No, it certainly isn't. And where did this come from? We've got a little bit of a battle for third place right now, as here comes Hunter Reeve on Mark Boyd, trying to close up that gap going down into Moss.
Yeah, I'm not sure where this came from. I've been watching timing and scoring, and this appeared out of nowhere, but it looks like Boyd's going to get a pretty good exit as Hunter Reeve is going to be in the slipstream.
He's going to be in the slipstream here, about 0.3 of a second back. That should be close enough to be able to get a pass. I've also got my eyes on your leader, who is coming to the checkered flag here shortly as he works his way down through the final S, down through White's corner, and a commanding drive to victory here for the number 40 of Zachary Buchanan.
Reeve took a shot down the inside of Boyd, but couldn't get it done, and now he's got a big wiggle. He saves it. Looks like Boyd's going to hang on to that final podium spot.
He is indeed, as that is a good run there from Mark Boyd. Qualified in fourth for this race, up one position to be able to claim that final podium spot. Joey, you saw this live. Talk us through this move.
Yeah, look at Reeve come down, take a really late lunge down the inside, side by side, coming off of the back straightaway, but Boyd was able to hang on, and then Reeve just got loose on the curb there, and that was that.
That was that, and that was just enough to be able to keep him out in front. I think that is going to wrap up our battles here for this series. My goodness gracious, talk about a pair of races we have had tonight. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel, but do not go anywhere, because aside from watching Zachary Buchanan burn the house down here in Moss Corner, we will be back in a short moment's time with a final finishing order as well as podium interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. You just witnessed some fantastic radical racing action where Zachary Buchanan was able to take a commanding victory here into the feature race over Patrick Arsenault and Mark Boyd, who held off a final assault there from Hunter Reeve on the last lap. Dave Peterson was able to come home in P5, followed by Kevin Hill and Joseph Yang. Daniel Salmon, Christian Jasper, and Scott Bedard round out your top 10. Bedard one lap down.
Yeah, they're in 11th place. Andrew Hardman, followed with James Carter. Got those awesome onboard shots. Thank you, James, for logging in and doing that. Always great to see. And Harlan Goulburn there in 13th place, followed by Michael Broomhead, Phil Amaro, Cedric Ohayon, Stephen Ritters, Lissandra Falleria, and Stephen Sutherland there in the 19th spot, followed by Robert Ridgway in the 20th position.
21st was Alex Ellis, followed by Alex Federico, and Keenan Harris rounds out your finishing order here today. And that, folks, is going to lead us right into podium interviews. We are going to start right at the top with our victor here today, Zachary Buchanan. Zachary, that really and truly looked like a pretty commanding drive after the first couple of laps, but talk me through that.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, that second race went better for me for sure. Yeah, just it was all about being patient. Just waiting for to make the right moves at the right time. Definitely happier with that than with how my first race went.
Well, talk to me about the sort of change in mentality that you have to go through. Obviously, a disappointment there in the first race. When you came into the second race, did you kind of have to reset yourself, or was it just business as usual, get right back out to track?
Well, I've raced in leagues that did invert races before, and I kind of learned the hard way that the best way to approach is just be patient, make the right moves. Don't be aggressive out the gate and then make mistakes as a result. Just be patient, and things just kind of play out as they should, I guess.
Will play out as they should, and they certainly played out well for you here today. Although next time out 2 weeks because of the holiday coming up here, but we head to another bumpy circuit in the form of Sebring. How do you think the number 40 is going to handle that?
I've had some pretty good success at Sebring. I'm looking forward to it. I love Mosport, it's my home track, but in this car, being so high speed all the time, it can be pretty on edge. So I'm looking forward to a track with some slower corners in it too.
Well, I'm looking forward to be able to watch you guys there. But as for tonight, a victory, who would you like to thank who makes this possible?
I'd like to give a shout out to Mike for putting on the race. That was a lot of fun. To my teammates who couldn't make it tonight, and for GSRC commentator Joey Tevin, a buddy of mine. So shout out to him too.
Well, we love those kind of shout outs, Zach. Thank you so much, and congratulations once again.
Thank you. See you next time.
We will see you next time, indeed. That was your victor here today, Zach Buchanan. And that's going to lead us into an interview with third place, Mark Boyd. And Joey, I believe you've caught up with him.
Yeah, standing by with our third place finisher, Mark Boyd. Congratulations on standing on the podium here. And a couple things. Take us through that lap 2 incident where it looked like Talladega out there for you. Uh-oh. Mark, do we have you? Looks like we might be having a few microphone issues here with Mark, and maybe give him just a second here to try to get it figured out. See if we can get him talking. And looks like we're going to hop on over to Joseph Yang, see if he's going to be ready to get in here. This is 7th place finisher Joseph Yang. Do we have you?
Can you hear me? Sorry about that.
Yes, Joseph, we've got you. Congratulations on the 7th place here at Mosport. Take us through the race today. What did you think about the dual format?
It was interesting nonetheless. I did expect a little bit of carnage at the beginning of the second race, or the feature race, knowing that it's reverse grid, and surely happened. I thought I was a bit better prepared to dodge everything, but yeah, I got caught in the middle of it. I had to make some positions up throughout the race, but the damage was too much. I was about like a second off my normal pace, but still ended up being a pretty decent race. So I'm happy about it. It was a lot of fun for sure.
Well, talk to everybody who's watching kind of about that lap 2 incident. I'm looking at it, and yeah, you got collected in it, but it's kind of how this racetrack can be with such high-speed cars in only one lane, and it's so narrow there getting into turn 2, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, especially around that turn. Like, yeah, once you get collected, like there's no way back. And I think the older model that iRacing uses, or the older version of the track that iRacing uses, without the pavement on the runoff area and the turn, I don't think that helped either. You know what? I can't even remember if it was at turn 4 or turn 2 anymore. It happened so fast, it already erased off of my memory.
Well, yeah, no, it was definitely turn 2, lap 2, looking like Talladega out there. But
Right.
Joseph, once again, congratulations on that 7th place position. Are you looking forward to the future races, or do you like the high speed venue here of Mosport?
Oh, I like both. Low speed tracks, high speed tracks. I'm all for it. It's such a fun car to drive too. So
Awesome. Well, and before I let you go, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
yeah, I'd like to shout out to my my driver in real life, who I engineer in the Formula 1600 series. He watched the whole race, thankfully, and yeah, he said it was really fun to watch. So yeah, thank you, Connor.
Awesome. Well, shout out to Connor there. And that's going to do it for Joseph Yang, our 7th place finisher. And also looks like we have a few more interviews lined up here. I think our next highest finishing position is Daniel Salmon, standing by with DJ.
Yes, indeed. Driver of the 659 here, Daniel. A pretty decent result there for you in both races, but how was it behind the cockpit?
It was very busy, to be honest. So, like the first the feature race, heat race, I guess you guys call it. Yeah, that was going great. I'm actually just reviewing the footage now to see where on earth it went wrong for me. In that final corner, I'm trying to work out, was that a me thing or was that like a net code? Like, so I'm just watching that. But then in the second race, like everything was looking really good. I'm like, okay, this is like a silver lining, right? And yeah, I think that was me at the end of the first race. I think I just got a bit loose. I'm not too sure yet, but no, Seen Alex go off, and then like he kind of ricocheted a bit, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, there's a car straight in front of me. If I go left, I'm definitely not going to make it. I'm expecting them to pull forward. If I go right, it's the only gap, and then like it was basically a game of pinball from that point. So just trying to recover, and I'm so proud of Maverick. Like Maverick did great, and definitely going forward, I'm hoping Top Gun Racing can do really well.
Well, we certainly hope you guys can do pretty well as you keep going. And speaking of that, you're going to be able to carry on some of that good result going into Sebring next time out.
Oh, I definitely hope so. The Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, I've never particularly been strong there, but Sebring, it's on the Princess approved track list, as I call it. So I'm feeling pretty confident about that one. I'm keen. I'm ready. I'm going to put some more practice in, and we'll see if we can get maybe a 1-2 podium. But there was definitely some very, very fast people out here tonight. But I think maybe it's just because it's the first race. It was definitely quite hot behind the cockpits, I think. And maybe as the series goes on, it's going to cool down a bit, and people are going to be more about, preserve the car and stay alive. And I feel like a complete hypocrite at this point. Obviously, been in it in 2 races, but you get the point.
We get exactly where you're coming from, my friend. And, as for tonight, still a top 10 finish, nothing to shake a stick at. Who makes it possible? Who'd you like to thank?
Oh, I want to thank, honestly, my team. So Top Gun Racing. So that started a couple of years ago. I was leading a team into Daytona 24-hour 2021. And I said to Patrick, I said, I'm going to be the Goose to your Maverick. And it stuck. And so anyway, I ended up leaving that league and making my own team. Our first race was a Spa 24-hour, and we came second in that. So that was awesome. And anyway, anybody who joins the team now, if they get a Top Gun name, we try and keep it small. But I want to thank the team. They've been very supportive. I got a couple of guys who I race with, and they really help. They're into the telemetry and stuff. It's a bit sophisticated for me. So I'm hoping they can kind of bring me up to speed. But just generally, just want to thank the guys. I want to thank Mike Broomhead for organising it as well. Radical Canada for doing it. And obviously you guys for doing the broadcast as well. Thank you very much for doing that. Hopefully you got my good side.
I reckon we did. Daniel, thank you so much, and congratulations again on a good top 10 here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, that was Daniel Salmon there, your 8th place finisher on the day, and I believe we've got time for one last interview. Joey, you've caught up with Christian Jasper.
Yeah, Christian Jasper, congratulations on the top 10, 9th place tonight at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. What did you think of the first round here of the Radical Canada Cup Winter Series?
It was a lot of fun. I'm still pretty new to this car. Got it not too long ago. It's a lot of fun to drive. I had fun with it. Even with some of the hiccups, it was still a fun race to be a part of.
Well, definitely fun. It was awesome to watch you guys and all of the action out there, especially with the 2-race format. And I know that you guys are headed to Sebring next time, which is quite a bit different than here, the racetrack that you raced tonight. How do you feel your confidence level going into the next track?
Honestly, probably about the same as what I was at tonight. Sebring is a personal favorite track of mine, so and I feel like it's just going to be coming to grips with the car, more so learning the track. I'm excited for it. It's again, it's a fun car. It's a fun track. I'm usually more on the IndyCar side, so this is definitely it's a nice change of pace. I enjoy the car. I enjoy the two race format. It's cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, once again, congratulations on the top 10 tonight, Christian. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Thanks to the guys that are part of the series for putting this on as well. I'm looking forward to the season.
Awesome. Well, that was your 9th place finisher, Christian Jasper, in the number 67 machine. And I believe that's going to do it for the interviews here, DJ.
Yes, indeed it is. And thank you all so much for joining in with us here today. And thanks to the team today, Joey, Joe, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media website and merchandise store. You heard me plug it a couple of times over the course of the day. And thank you to everybody who provides all of the behind-the-scenes of work here at the GSRC. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on the channel. You heard us mention it next time out, Sebring, Friday, December 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.